Tonight, the surprise pick by President-elect Donald Trump, tapping Matt Gaetz to serve as Attorney General. The Florida congressman and Trump loyalist selected to become the nation's top law enforcement officer while under a House ethics probe. Gaetz also once the subject of a federal investigation into the alleged sex trafficking of a 17-year-old girl, but was never charged. His bid coming after Mr. Trump vowed retribution against political enemies. Plus, Mr. Trump's controversial picks for Director of National Intelligence and Defense Secretary. Can they get confirmed? Also tonight, President-elect Trump and President Biden meeting in the Oval Office. The bitter rivals shaking hands, what they discussed. And it comes as Republicans win the House, taking total control of Washington. Also tonight, the new wildfire erupting in New York City as neighboring New Jersey declares a drought emergency. The deadly explosion at a factory in Louisville, the history of safety issues at the facility. The homes of Kansas City Chiefs stars Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce burglarized. One of the incidents happening during a Monday night game. And more than 5 years after it was nearly destroyed by fire, the Notre Dame Cathedral set to reopen to the public. And the newly discovered treasures hidden for centuries.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening and welcome. Today, major surprises among Donald Trump's latest picks to fill his cabinet, including Matt Gaetz, a fierce and loyal defender of Mr. Trump in Congress, now his choice to become the next Attorney General. The bracing winds of political change blowing across Washington today, where the president-elect met with President Biden at the White House, each man pledging a smooth transition. Within hours of that meeting came the news that Republicans will claim the final prize of last week's election, control of Congress in addition to the presidency. Though votes are still being counted, NBC News can now project Republicans will keep control of the House of Representatives by a slim margin. President-elect Trump already claiming a clear mandate as he has pressed forward in laying out his cabinet choices in rapid-fire fashion. Some raising eyebrows, including a Fox News host and former soldier to lead the Pentagon, and former Democratic Congresswoman turned Trump supporter Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence. And late today, Matt Gaetz added to head the Department of Justice. It's where we start with Peter Alexander.
Tonight, the culmination of a comeback. President-elect Trump arriving in Washington just as NBC News projected the GOP will keep its House majority. And tonight, Trump's announcing a series of new high-profile picks that have stunned even some of his allies. Among the picks, Trump defender Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz for Attorney General, that's sparking a bipartisan backlash. All of it as President Biden welcomed the president-elect to the White House, including a handshake inside the Oval Office.
Mr. President-elect and former President, thank you. Donald, congratulations.
Thank you.
After a heated campaign,
Biden was a low IQ guy 35 years ago.
Trump is a threat to this nation.
Any bitterness today was tucked away. Biden telling Trump, welcome back.
Looking forward to having like we said, a smooth transition. Do everything we can to make sure you're accommodated, what you need. And we're going to get a chance to talk about some of that today. So,
good.
Welcome
Thank you
back.
very much. And thank you very much. And politics is tough. And it's, in many cases, not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate it very much. A transition that's so smooth, it'll be as smooth as it can get, and I very much appreciate that, Jim.
You're welcome. Thank you all.
The meeting lasted nearly 2 hours before even landing back in Florida. Trump rolled out those new transition picks, including Gaetz, a lightning rod. Trump ally Steve Bannon telling NBC News, President Trump is going to hit the Justice Department with a blowtorch, and Matt Gaetz is that torch.
Donald Trump is unstoppable. Elect him president again, and America will be unstoppable too.
Though Gaetz has also been fiercely criticized by fellow Republicans. Trump today announcing Tulsi Gabbard to serve as Director of National Intelligence. A former Democratic Congresswoman from Hawaii and military veteran, Gabbard campaigned for Trump and recently became a Republican.
That I'm proud to stand here with you today, President Trump, and announce that I'm joining the Republican Party.
But she's faced bipartisan criticism for secretly meeting with Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad. And overnight, a surprise pick, even to some of Trump's allies. Fox News host Pete Hegseth for Defense Secretary. a Princeton and Harvard graduate and combat veteran who earned 2 Bronze Stars. Hegseth just days ago saying this about women in combat.
Because I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles. It hasn't made us more effective, hasn't made us more lethal, has made fighting more complicated.
And he's echoed Trump's argument that the Pentagon has veered away from its military focus to pursue progressive policies.
The woke stuff will be gone within a period of 24 hours, I can tell you.
Any general that was involved, general, admiral, whatever, that was involved in any of the DEI woke, it's got to go. Either you're in for war fighting, and that's it. And that's the only litmus test we care about.
But some Democrats argue he lacks the experience to lead 1.3 million active duty troops and to oversee an $800 billion budget.
The selection of this person who has very little experience in running the largest department in the federal government, serious concerns.
The president-elect also announcing billionaire Trump supporter Elon Musk and entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy will lead a new so-called Department of Government Efficiency.
Nobody's smarter than Elon.
It's an idea Musk originally pitched to Trump, who says the goal is to create more efficiency and less bureaucracy by providing advice and guidance from outside of government. It currently does not exist, and it's unclear how it'll be funded, though Musk has touted massive savings.
Well, I think we can do at least $2 trillion.
Yeah! Peter, that picture at the White House today, certainly one to remember. What else have you learned about that Oval Office meeting?
Lester, the White House call it cordial and substantive. President-elect Trump says that it was a really good meeting, telling the New York Post that he and President Biden spoke about the wars in Ukraine and the Middle East, and that Biden shared his views and was very gracious. Lester?
Peter Alexander starting us off. Thank you. President-elect Trump's selection of Congressman Matt Gaetz for Attorney General immediately drawing strong reaction from both Republicans and Democrats. Garrett Haake is at the Capitol.
Tonight, President-elect Trump's selection of Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz for Attorney General already sending shockwaves through Washington. Trump today describing one of his strongest defenders as a, quote, deeply gifted and tenacious attorney who will end the partisan weaponization of our justice system. Many Republicans saying after Trump's decisive victory, he's entitled to the team he wants.
I like Matt a lot. I know him very well, and I'm confident that if the Senate confirms him, he would do a good job.
But he's also facing bipartisan backlash from both Democrats.
This feels like a red alert moment for democracy.
I would describe it as God-tier level trolling.
And Republicans.
Mr. Gaetz breaks things to break things, and then once he breaks it even more. And that is somebody who should not be the Attorney General of the United States.
Gaetz has built a reputation for fiercely defending the president-elect and repeatedly going after DOJ officials, including FBI Director Christopher Wray.
You preside over the FBI that has the lowest level of trust in the FBI's history.
Tonight, Gaetz texting me, quote, I'm honored by the president's trust and confidence. Trump has repeatedly attacked the legal battles he faced as political prosecutions and has had rocky relationships with his previous attorney generals, including Jeff Sessions.
And I put an attorney general that never took control of the Justice Department, Jeff Sessions.
In Gaetz, he would have an AG that, critics say, would be more willing to do his bidding. Gaetz would have to be confirmed by a Republican Senate. And one likely concern, the DOJ and FBI investigated Gaetz for possible sex trafficking, but the case ended in 2023 without any charges filed. Gaetz denied any wrongdoing. Tonight, many Republicans backing Trump's choice.
Matt Gaetz and I, there's no question that we've had our differences. They've been very public about it. I completely trust President Trump's decision-making on this one.
What do you think the selection of Matt Gaetz says about what Donald Trump thinks about the Department of Justice?
Well, I think he thinks about the Department of Justice what a lot of us think. It's gone rogue. It's gone even corrupt in many respects.
Trump also making his selection of Marco Rubio to be his Secretary of State official today. Senator Rubio should be confirmed relatively easily, but several of these other picks could face difficult confirmation battles, and we now know who will lead the charge on those battles. It's new Senate Majority Leader John Thune of South Dakota, who was elected just today. Lester?
All right, Garrett Hake, thank you. We heard the reaction on Capitol Hill to the Gaetz pick. Laura Jarrett is tracking reaction inside the Justice Department. What's being said there tonight?
Lester, the reaction has been swift and it has been, frankly, scathing. Multiple current and former Justice Department officials telling NBC News tonight this pick is, quote, insane, stunning. One telling me, quote, he is the least qualified person ever nominated for any position in the Department of Justice. Now, the concern here is twofold. One is the sex trafficking investigation that Garrett detailed there. It was ultimately closed without any charges. But if confirmed, Gaetz would be the top law enforcement officer of the very same agency that criminally investigated him for years. The other concern expressed by officials is more about how he could use the department's resources to settle scores against the president-elect's perceived political enemies. We have heard Gaetz take aim at top prosecutors in both New York and Georgia, along with special counsel Jack Smith. Lester.
And you're reporting Jack Smith may actually resign before Inauguration Day.
He ran out of time. Bottom line there, both the federal cases he's overseeing in Washington and Florida are nowhere close to a trial. They were bogged down in delays and appeals from the very outset. You combine that with the timing, that's just a reality that the Justice Department will not prosecute a sitting president. The only question now, Lester, is whether he can get a publicly released report out before the former president is inaugurated.
All right, Laura, thank you. Here in New York, firefighters battling yet another brush fire, this one in northern Manhattan in a heavily wooded park. It's just the latest wildfire to break out in the Northeast, which is at elevated fire risk because of a prolonged drought. In New Jersey, officials issued a drought warning. In Louisville, Kentucky, that factory explosion we first told you about last night killed 2 workers and injured almost a dozen more as authorities try to find out what caused it. Shaquille Brewster has the latest.
Tonight, questions into the cause of that deadly explosion at a Louisville, Kentucky factory.
The most important part is going to be going through that debris that's on site, trying to, pinpoint exactly where the explosion came from.
New video showing the moment the blast was felt Tuesday afternoon, killing 2 employees and injuring 11 others. Video from above highlighting the extent of the damage, while on the ground, large debris is scattered across the neighborhood.
Thank God nobody was walking by at that time.
Kim Prather lives just a block away.
The whole house shook and stuff started falling.
As families scramble to repair the damage, a federal reconstruction team is working to identify the cause of the explosion. According to a federal government report, an explosion at the same plant killed a worker in 2003. The investigation blaming excessive pressure in a tank. The plant is now under new ownership.
Our inspections of that plant over the past several years showed no other issues.
The current owners writing in a statement, "We are in the early stages of investigating the cause of this incident and are cooperating with first responders and supporting agencies." Shaken neighbors now fearing this could happen again.
What do you want to see happen?
I just think it's time for that plant to change or move out of the area.
And as crews process the scene behind me, the company that owns the building says they are prioritizing those team members that were lost and those who were injured. Lester?
All right, Shaq, thank you. New numbers out tonight show that Americans are in debt at a record level, almost $18 trillion, with more people struggling with the crushing cost of credit card debt. Senior business correspondent Christine Romans has more.
Mortgages, car loans, credit cards. Americans are borrowing more than ever. U.S. household debt now at $17.94 trillion. For credit cards, that debt has never cost more. The average interest rate almost 22%, way higher than auto loans and mortgage rates.
I was like, holy, like it was hundreds of dollars per month. I'm like, I could be spending that on groceries.
Just in interest.
Just in interest.
Jamie Parker is chipping away at her part of the record $1.17 trillion Americans now hold in credit card debt.
I was in about $60,000 worth of debt when this all started, just to be able to live for the year with my kids.
The marketing professional and single mother of 2 leaned on credit cards when she was laid off 3 different times during the pandemic.
I've really had to cut back.
Researchers at the New York Fed say wages are rising, making higher debt levels manageable for many, but delinquency rates remain elevated.
It's something that we're keeping a close eye on, just because if households aren't able to manage their debt obligations, that suggests something more distressing is happening in household balance sheets.
Jamie is now in a program to help clear her debt, paying off 2 big cards at $535 a month for the next 5 years. Her experience showing how with rates so high, even a little debt can spiral. Experts recommend paying more than the minimum payment, consider zero-interest balance transfer offers, and work with a credit counselor to consolidate debt.
It just takes one job loss or one interest rate spike or one emergency purchase to kind of put you over the edge.
Yes, it does. It's a very slippery slope.
Christine Romans, NBC News, New York.
In 60 seconds, burglaries at the homes of 2 of the NFL's biggest stars. The reported break-ins at the homes of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. $20,000 in cash stolen from the superstar tight end. Right after this.
Frustrating, disappointing.
They are 2 of the biggest names in the NFL, and tonight police say Kansas City Chiefs teammates Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce were both the victims of burglaries at their homes. Jesse Kirsch now with more on the investigation.
More than a month after alleged burglaries at the homes of Kansas City Chiefs Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, tonight investigators still have not named any suspects tied to the incidents, which occurred just hours apart. Before today's practice, Mahomes speaking publicly for the first time since the news broke.
It's frustrating, it's disappointing, but I mean, I can't get into too many of the details because the investigation is still ongoing.
According to a sheriff's report, just after midnight on October 6th, there was a break-in without forced entry at Mahomes' massive home about 25 miles outside Kansas City, Missouri. The property featured in Netflix series Quarterback.
I was like, man, I'm going to be here. I might as well build the exact house I want.
Then the next evening, there was a forced entry at Kelce's home, roughly 8 miles away, according to a police report, which said $20,000 in cash was stolen. That alleged incident unfolding while the Chiefs hosted the Saints on Monday Night Football. Kelce's girlfriend, superstar Taylor Swift, was also in the stadium. And while the couple has not commented, Kelce's brother, Jason, had talked about the romance's security challenges before this incident.
He had to completely move out of his house.
And tonight, police are not commenting on how burglars could access the homes of 2 of the world's biggest names. Jesse Kirsch, NBC News.
We've got more ahead. Next, tough times at 23andMe as the genetic testing company struggles. How safe is your personal data? Back now with a story you need to hear if you've ever used 23andMe. The company announcing this week it's slashing jobs as its financial troubles raise questions about what could happen to customers' personal data. Here's Stephanie Gosk.
When 23andMe launched nearly 20 years ago, the promise was enticing.
My DNA journey started here.
Millions of customers eager to upload their DNA.
23andMe research is focused on discovering new information about genes.
But earlier this week, 23andMe's CEO warned investors that there was substantial doubt that the company could keep operating, announcing it was cutting 40% of its workforce, 200 jobs, and it will stop development of its therapeutics division. The stock price cratering 75% this year. And while the company says it is looking to go private and isn't looking to sell, some customers may be concerned about their very personal data.
For people who want to erase their accounts with 23andMe, is that possible?
Yeah, so in the privacy policy, it does say that individuals can request for their account to be closed. And if that happens, they delete the sample and delete the account.
The financial update comes just 2 months after the company settled a class action lawsuit stemming from a 2023 cyber attack. Data for 6.9 million customers was posted on the dark web. 23andMe agreeing to pay $30 million and give those customers 3 years of security monitoring. In a statement this week, 23andMe says, "We are committed to protecting customer data and are consistently focused on maintaining the privacy of our customers. That will not change. The future of their business may depend on it." Stephanie Gosk, NBC News.
Up next tonight, 5 years after that devastating fire, Notre Dame about to reopen with some remarkable discoveries.
Voila.
There is good news tonight as the iconic Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris prepares to finally reopen its doors with some newly discovered treasures. Here's Kelly Kobiea.
Tonight, the dream of a new Notre Dame is within reach. The scaffolding disappearing, the renovations inside now complete. Just over 5 years after fire ripped through the roof and nearly destroyed the iconic cathedral.
We thought we never see it again.
Restoration expert Stephanie Duchesne was among the first to see the damage, tasked with identifying the relics in all this rubble and saving them.
We found some murals that were underneath Viollet-le-Duc paintings, never documented. So it was a very special moment.
Making new discoveries, ancient paintings under 19th century murals, and under the cathedral, a fully preserved sarcophagus. Today, the cathedral's destroyed roof is rebuilt. The signature spire, the oak beams, the lead tiles, all in place.
All lead. Wow.
Nearly 2,000 artisans and craftspeople have worked to bring Notre Dame back. In less than a month's time, this choir of stoneworkers, carpenters, and painters will sing at a special ceremony, marking the moment the Grande Dame of Paris is once again open to the world. Kelly Kobiella, NBC News, Paris.
Can't wait to see it. That's Nightly News for this Wednesday. Thank you for watching. I'm Lester Holt. Please take care of yourself and each other. Good night. Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.